How to play Hearthstone by 80 Gaming here with a complete guide to undead minions in Battlegrounds. We will look at each minion and what it does, how each minion works in each comp we are examining, and where they place on the tier list for each comp. Now let's get into it. The first minion we're going to be talking about is the Harmless Bonehead. Death Rattle, summon 2 1/1 skeletons. When the minion dies, you get 2 of these skeletons. Death Rattle means it triggers an action when it dies, so when this minion gets killed, he summons 2 skeletons. The next minion is the Risen Rider. The Risen Rider has Taunt. Taunt minions must all be attacked before minions without Taunt, which is what is used to control which minions die first in combat. The Risen Rider also has Reborn. Reborn causes the minion when killed to be resummoned to life with 1 health. If the original unmodified minion has Taunt, then the minion will have Taunt when reborn. Otherwise, the minion is reborn without Taunt, which is key to controlling combat. The first tier 2 minion is the Nerubian Death Swarmer. Battle Cry. Your undead have +1 attack this game wherever they are. Battle Cries are actions triggered when the minion is first cast onto the board. Battle Cries can sometimes be triggered in combat, but enchantments received during combat are not permanent unless a card text modifies what happens during combat. The next tier 2 minion is the Scarlet Skull. The Scarlet Skull has Reborn and a Death Rattle. Give a friendly undead +1/+2. The last tier 2 undead card is the Eternal Knight. Eternal Knight has +1/+1 for each friendly Eternal Knight that died this game, wherever this is. The minion gains 1 extra attack and 1 extra health for every time this minion dies. It is important if building your comp around this minion to get reborn as soon as possible, because every time he is reborn, that's another chance for him to get stronger. The first tier 3 undead minion is the Handless Forsaken. Death Rattle summons a 2/1 hand with Reborn. Always buy this minion, more to come on why. The next tier 3 card is the Cadaver Caretaker. Death Rattle, summon 3 1/1 skeletons. Similar to the Harmless Bonehead, except this minion summons 3 skeletons instead of 2. Summoning more skellies is what the Overflow comp is all about, making the Cadaver Caretaker a key Overflow comp card. The next tier 3 minion is Anubarak, the Nerubian King. Death Rattle. Your undead have +1 attack this game wherever they are. Now this is different than the Nerubian Death Swarmer. The Death Swarmer had gained +1 attack as a battle cry. This being a Death Rattle, it could potentially happen every combat, multiple times with Reborn. Every time this minion dies, your undead are going to permanently get more attack, so get Reborn on him ASAP. The next tier 3 undead is the Mummifier. Death Rattle, give a different friendly undead Reborn. The minion chosen by the Death Rattle is random, but note it cannot happen to another Mummifier minion. Typically place the Mummifier on the leftmost position on the board. If possible, add Taunt because you want this guy to die. If he doesn't die, it screws everything up. The Mummifier has 2 health, so one may assume it will always die. There are a few minions out there with less than 2 attack. When the Taunt minion you attack only has 1 health and your Mummifier doesn't die, it really screws up everything. Because the Mummifier gives a friendly undead Reborn, I associate the Mummifier with another tier 3 card, the Disguised Grave Robber. Battle Cry. Destroy a friendly undead to get a plain copy of it. Playing the Grave Robber and choosing the Mummifier destroys the Mummifier, giving one of your undead Reborn. This is while you're in the shop. The Mummifier gets destroyed, a different undead gains Reborn. The effect will only go to those minions that don't have Reborn already, so no need worrying about it happening to a minion that already has Reborn and getting wasted. The Mummifier then appears into your hand and you can put the Mummifier back on the board again and discard the Grave Robber, or if room allows, keeping it for a possible triple reward. Another way to use the Grave Robber is if you have 2 of the same minion with Reborn, play the Grave Robber on one of them to get a triple reward. The first tier 4 undead is the hottest card in Undead right now. Captain Bone Renderer. After you summon a different minion in combat, summon an extra copy of it. Think about that. If you have all these minions with Reborn, and all these minions with skelly spawning Death Rattles, what could potentially happen? Captain Bone Renderer is great for Undead, Pirates, and Mechs. This is a hot card. Another tier 4 card that's super important, the Prosthetic Hand. Magnetic. Reborn can magnetize to mechs or undead. Magnetic means the minion can combine with another minion when played on the left side of that card. If played on the right side of the minion, it won't magnetize, instead it will just be played on the board as itself. It can magnetize to mechs or undead. This would give the Nerubian King Reborn, and it gains the 3 attack, 1 health of the prosthetic hand. Also consider casting the hand on the Mummifier, because then he'll hopefully die twice, casting Reborn twice. Now for the tier 4 minion Thundering Abomination. Whenever you summon a minion in combat, give it +3/+3. If there's no space, gain +3/+3 permanently. Say you've got an Anubarak on the board with Reborn. Anubarak would die and respawn, gaining 3/3. If a Harmless Bonehead dies, it would summon 2 Skellies, that would be 4/4. If there's no space because the board is full and only 1 Skelly can be summoned, the Skelly and the Abomination both gain +3/+3. The Thundering Abomination is a key card if playing the Overflow Undead comp. The Wandering Wight is slightly different. After you summon a minion in combat, give it health equal to its attack. So with the Wandering Wight, when the Harmless Bonehead dies, if you have +10 attack currently, the 2 Skelly summoned would be 11/12 instead of 11/1. I see the Wight being used often with beast comps like beetles, rather than with undead comps. Now for the main card for undead attack scaling comps. Champion of the Primus. Avenge 3. Your undead have +1 attack this game wherever they are. Avenge 3 means every time 3 friendly minions die, the Avenge is triggered. When the Handless Forsaken minion dies, your Helping Hand is summoned in the same slot on your board. It can then die and be reborn in the same slot again, getting all 3 Avenges with 1 card. With the Harmless Bonehead, if there is room on your board, you will get 2 minions with a chance to die, gaining more Avenge triggers. So there is a chance you will get 3 triggers with 1 card, but often it results in only 2 Avenge triggers because of the overflow. This is why the Handless Forsaken is the best option for undead attack scaling. If you give the Handless Forsaken Reborn, it potentially won't fit because the hand's going to take the slot that the Handless Forsaken would have been reborn into. The next tier 5 card is the Wisp in the Shell. Battlecry, give a friendly minion, it doesn't have to be undead, +2 health. Improved by each friendly minion that died last combat. Once used, you really don't want it on your board. Try to have a Butchering Tavern spell available when you summon the Wisp. You would then destroy the Wisp, gaining +5 attack for your undead. Another option is if you have a minion you've given a bunch of health to help survive early and mid game that you're actually going to discard, you can use Channel the Devourer as an option. Next is the Catacomb Crasher. Whenever you would summon a minion that doesn't fit in your warband, give your minions +1/+1 permanently. That's all the minions that are left on the board, not just our Thundering Abomination. Next is Nightbane Ignited. Taunt, Death Rattle. Give 2 different friendly minions this minion's attack. Once Nightbane has Prosthetic Hand, he fits perfectly with the champion attack scaling comp. Next is the Eternal Summoner. Reborn, Death Rattle, summon 1 Eternal Knight. With Reborn, when the Eternal Summoner is reborn, Captain Bonerender would cause you to have 2 Knights and 2 Summoners if there is room. 4 cards is a very tight fit. You probably would just have the Eternal Summoner with Captain Bonerender on their board, with some minion without taunt in between to protect Bonerender from adjacent damage attacks. Next is the Death Stomper. After you summon a minion in combat, give your minions +4 attack. You can see how this is going to synergize great with just about every undead comp. The last tier 6 undead is the Deathly Striker. Avenge 4. Get a random undead, Death Rattle. Summon it from your hand for this combat only. This means every time 4 minions on your board die, they don't have to be undead, you get a random undead added to your hand. When the Deathly Striker dies, all the random minions that were added to your hand get summoned into combat. If you get reborn on the Deathly Summoner, and a minion like the Cadaver Caretaker gets summoned, you could potentially trigger this new Striker's Avenge again, gaining more summons when the second Striker Death Rattle triggers. There is one tier 7 undead, which doesn't come into play very often. The Recurring Nightmare, Death Rattle. Give a different friendly undead, Death Rattle, summon a Recurring Nightmare. I've had 0 success with this card. However, I have had it kick my butt several times when other players have it. Maybe I'm using it wrong, maybe they got lucky. but the strategies that I've seen say to avoid the recurring nightmare. Now let's look at useful tavern spells for undead comps. These tavern spells allow you to control with taunts who dies when. It is still random, but if you have 4 taunts, typically all 4 of those taunts and most rebirths and in-combat summons are going to get attacked before your champion of the Primus and other minions without taunt. The Oozling Gladiator gives you 2 slime shields. Slime shields give a minion +1/+1 and taunt. Defender's Right is a great spell to cast on Nightbane Ignited, but doing more damage on a card that's intended to die anyways is always good. Chef's Choice. Choose a minion, get a different minion of the same type. As almost every minion is great in undead comps, more than likely you're going to get something that's useful. Eyes of the Earth Mother. Choose a friendly minion from tier 4 or below and make it golden. Pretty self-explanatory. Next is the Planar Telescope. Discover a minion of your most common type. This is better than the Chef's Choice because you get 3 choices and you get to pick which one it is instead of it being random. We looked at these earlier, but don't forget Channel of the Devourer and Butchering. Also keep an eye out for Saloon's Finest, because it lets you refresh the tavern with just tavern spells to hopefully find the tavern spells you're looking for. Last is the Lost Staff of Hamul. Choose a minion, refresh the tavern with minions of its type. I mean, come on, that is epic. Now let's look at recommendations for hero powers to use when playing undead comps. Lead the Frost Wolves, passive, Avenge 2, give your minions +1 attack permanently. Every time 2 minions die, everything else gets +1 attack permanently. This is happening in combat. Remember we talked about how combat enchantments aren't permanent? This one does because the hero power has the modifier permanently. So you're controlling who dies first, you're making all those minions die, and the minions deeper down are gaining more attack the whole time. Sprout it out. This is hands down the best hero power for undead comps. Passive. Give +1/+2 and taunt to minions you summon during combat. So all those reborn minions and skellies will have taunt, and combat will be a smooth progression through your board. If you have the choice of this hero power and you're wanting to play undead, take Sprout It Out. Reborn Rights. Give a minion reborn until next turn. This hero power allows you to have reborn on a minion that doesn't have it starting from turn 1. Rapid Reanimation. Choose a friendly minion, start of combat, destroy it. When you have space, resummon an exact copy. This is a great hero power for Overflow and Eternal Summoner comps. Take the Cadaver Caretaker. You destroy it at the start of combat. When this happens, the death rattle triggers. There's not going to be any room for the Cadaver Caretaker to be resummoned. This is great because when you have space, it'll summon the exact copy ready to do it all over again. Rapid Reanimation is my number 2 choice for undead hero powers. Prestidigitation. Choose a secret, put it into the battlefield. The Secret's Redemption and Pack Tackets are the secrets you will choose depending on your situation. Now let's look at which are the key minions and supporting minions for each of the undead comps being covered in this video. If you are running Undead Overflow, start with the Cadaver Caretaker. Titus Rivendare is a great card to have, causing your death rattles to trigger an extra time. Catacomb Crasher is a great bonus, but Thundering Abomination is a must. The Hawkstrider Herald has a start of combat trigger that shouldn't be passed up. Here are some other cards to consider when you're playing Overflow. The Monstrous Macaw in combination with the Herald is just disgusting. And if the Karmic Chameleon transforms into your Thundering Abomination, then GG. Next are the key undead attack scaling cards: Nightbane Ignited, Handless Forsaken, Champion of the Primus, and Deathly Striker. Here's an example of an Overflow comp. We have a Monstrous Macaw, 2 Caretaker Cadavers with Taunt and Reborn added, the Thundering Abomination, and Catacomb Crasher. And this is why Undead Overflow is considered an easy comp. All the undead cards are C tier or better, and the bonus is it's considered an S tier comp in itself. Now let's see an example undead attack scaling board. Nightbane has Taunt built in, but we added Reborn. The first 3 Handless Forsaken have Taunt added but no Reborn because you just want the hand to come back in the slot on the battlefield and not have any Overflow waste. The 4th Handless has Reborn but no Taunt. This is to protect our Deathly Striker from being hit by adjacent attack minions. And with Reborn, the potential for craziness at the end of the fight is way up there. This is how I would rate all the undead cards for the undead attack scaling comp. Last we have the Eternal Summoner comp. We will only have 3 cards on the board. The Eternal Summoner first with Taunt added and Reborn built in. Then in the middle, to protect our Captain Bonerender from adjacent attack damage, I think Leroy the Reckless would be the best middle card for this comp, but having any of these cards in between would be just fine as well. Whatever you place there, make sure it doesn't have Taunt. So that's my guide to the Undead comps. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. This was a lot of work. Also in the Undead playlist, there'll be actual in-game of all the footage I did capturing these clips, so you can see the game played in its entirety and how the cards were, just how it all worked out. So check those out as well. Links will be in the description. And yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this. It was a lot of work. Hope you appreciate it. Hope you enjoy it. Please like and subscribe. I know I've said it, but I'll talk to you later. And yeah, so remember, live, love, and play well. See ya.